are you Dave? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah. And he goes, you're an hour late.
This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is Dave Nixon, and I'm going to continue on from the storyline from yesterday, where I was in America. And so to recap, I had just dumped a heap of cash on a fucking Toyota Corolla or similar and some thongs. And I'm left in America for like 30 days still, 29 days with $800 cash. My first time, I was 26. And I remember it clear as fucking day. And so I'm there, and I spent my first night in the Airbnb. I was so jet lagged, and had no idea how to reacclimatize myself or anything at all. And that next morning, I was going to CrossFit Park City. So CrossFit Park City was Chris Biller's gym, and I went to Chris Biller's gym out of all of the CrossFit guys because I found that he was one of the OGs, but also he was a smaller guy. So he was a guy that sort of, I mean, he's never won the CrossFit Games. I think he came second back in the original games or something, but he's never won the CrossFit Games. And he won't. Maybe in a Masters or something. But either way, he was a really good dude. I got in touch with him. He said, sure, come out. And so, but he was a busy guy. I never really got time to spend time with him outside of the actual gym, but we trained for 2 or 3 sessions. And he was always really polite. But when I first got there the first time, and I mean, if you've been to Utah, it's like fucking stunning. Utah is picturesque. It's absolutely beautiful. And so, especially Park City. Park City is like, if you're ever in that part of America, go to Park City. It is stunning. I have never been there in the winter, only in the summer. But either way, it's just these beautiful rocky mountains that are just sort of encapsulate this small little town. It's phenomenal. And so CrossFit Park City is kind of just on the way out of, or the way in, depending how you look at it, of Park City. And so we did a workout. It was a hero workout. I can't remember what the hero workout was called. Hero workouts and CrossFits are like workouts that are devoted to fallen soldiers or similar. The hero workout. Hero workout. Chris Biller and the hero workout. Man, that was fucked. So that was like, from memory, 200 double unders, 50 pull-ups, 50 overhead squats, a mile run, 1.6 Ks for 2 rounds. I was jet lagged. My poor little body was wrecked. The air was like breathing custard. But I met Chris Biller after that. I don't have too much more to say about Spiller. He's a good dude, though. He was really, really nice. And later on when I was at the CrossFit Games, I saw him there again. He's like, hey, Dave, how are you? Like, it was just a genuine dude. So, yeah, really good dude. Now, I spent about 6 days. I spent about a week in total in Utah. I ended up just staying at the same Airbnb that I originally stayed at, right? I stayed there for an extra, I think it was 2 or 3 nights. And I landed on a Sunday night, went there Monday, Tuesday, and then I went Wednesday, Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, yeah. End of the week, I went to Bobby Maximus's gym. So, well, he was managing it. Sorry, Rob, I know you're no longer affiliated at all. Jim Jones. Now, Jim Jones was the biggest influence in my functional training career, perception. I remember watching the Actors of 300 get trained by Mark Twight, who I met through Jim Jones. Neither of those guys are no longer with Jim Jones at all. And probably don't ever want to be. But either way, and I went through there, and I remember I had organised a time with Bobby. And Bobby's a fucking big dude. He's 6'3". He's 250 pounds maybe. He's a big dude. And I remember rocking up, and I walked in, and their gym is. You been there?
Not to their gym.
Not to their gym, no. So, the gym at the time was just some mirrored glass, and I think it had coordinates on the window. If it didn't have coordinates on the window and you couldn't see in, it was just a little image of a guy doing like a windmill with a barbell, their traditional image. And I walked in there. And it wasn't a big place. It wasn't fancy at all. It was just a training space. That's all it was, right? And I walked in and there's this fucking big guy in the middle there. And he's like, "Are you Dave?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "Yeah." And he goes, "You're an hour late." I'm like, and I just stood there for a second and I'm like, "That's a lot of burpees." And he's like, "Warm up." And I was fucking so scared. I was shitting myself. Now keep in mind, this is 5 years ago. I've done a lot of growing up, like maturing personally as well. But I was worried. Am I going to be fit enough? Am I going to be shamed? Are these people going to like me? You know, what's the whole process? How do I act? All of this, right? And I remember sitting on the fucking bike, warming up. And Bobby looks over at me with this fucking dead stare, and then just cracks a massive smile. And at that point, I thought I might be okay here. So I went on to train a couple of times at Jim Jones, and same deal. The air was as thick as custard, and but I had a really good experience, and it was just a really good experience of what their gyms run like. Same with CrossFit Park City, and same with I went to in total over the 3 years 42 different gyms around America, and so this particular space has definitely influenced the space that I have, but in a different way. Definitely in a different way. I don't want to have a Jim Jones. It's not what I want. It sort of loses a human element to some degree. They could argue, and that's fine. I'm more than happy for that. But that was one of the big things that I learned from there. And so I kind of got my feet by this stage. I figured out how to drive on the other side of the road. I figured out how to sort of, different lingo and language, and I learned more about Utah, and I had booked a flight on Sunday to Portland, Oregon. And on Saturday, so Friday, the car was due back. And so I actually was like, I've got a bit more money. A bit of money came through. I got a bit of money. I've got one more night. I got 2 more nights in Utah, but 1 more night in Park City. And then I booked a hostel or something where was it? Salt Lake City. And I'm like, I'm going to get a Mustang. American dream, going to get a Mustang. It's probably not the American dream. The Aussie American dream, I'm going to get a Mustang and drive down the highways of Utah. Roof down, roof not down, whatever. I don't care. And so I call up, I book a Mustang, and for a day that, they were affordable. And so the next day, it was a Friday, I go across and I drop the car off, and I go, "Hey, I'm here to pick up a Mustang." It's probably the same fucking lady that sold me $1,200 worth of Toyota. And she's like, "We don't have any Mustangs in stock, in store. We only have Dodge Challengers left." And I'm like, "I want a Mustang." Like, that's what I ordered. She's like, "We don't have any Mustangs." These people don't give a fuck. They're just doing their job so they can get paid, go home, and try and fucking live a life, right? And I'm like, and I was so gutted, so disappointed. I already paid for it, right? And so I'm like, can I just go have a look at the Challenger? And I'm thinking it's a Dodge Charger. And if you're not sure, look those cars up. Dodge Challenger and a Dodge Charger. And so I go out and I see this Dodge Challenger, and I'm like, oh fuck, that's actually quite nice. It's 2 doors. It's a V8. It's basically the modern version of the Dukes of Hazzard's car, right? And there's a black one and a red one, I think. I think I took the red one because red ones go faster. Nowadays, I probably would have took the black one, but there you go. Anyway, so I go and I get the red one. I go back in and I said, "Oh yeah, I'll take it." It's a manual. It's a manual V8 fucking Dodge Challenger in America. I'm like, I'll take the red one. And so I no problem, sign all the paperwork, get in the Dodge Challenger. I have it for a night because I'm bringing it back on Saturday so that I can stay Saturday night at a hostel and then fly to Portland, Oregon on Sunday. I've got an Airbnb there that I'm sorting out. And and then I'm driving home, and I stopped at the petrol station because the Dodge Challenger has this computer. It's fucking cool. It tells you the G-forces on it, right? So as you're driving and turning the corner, and not only it sounds amazing, as you turn the corner, it shows the G-forces change on the car. It tells you can track your 5 fastest 100, 0 to 100 on it. You can... it tells you the PSI in each tire, all of that. And so I noticed the PSI on one of the tires was a little bit lower, and it was a novelty. So I pulled over one of the service stations, gas station in Park City. I filled the air up in the tire a little bit. they're all low profile. Get a couple of beers, order a pizza, and whatnot. And one of the things I didn't share early on is that the place I was staying at was actually owned by a guy who had been on FHM magazine, for him magazine, I think it is anyway, FHM, for being a free diver, I think it's called, free diver, like the skydive, but with no parachute. Crazy shit. But also he had 8 computers. He had 8 screens. I remember walking in on the first day, seeing these fucking 8 screens, being like, what the fuck? This guy came home on the second night, right? He might have been late 40s, and he's talking a million miles an hour. He was home for 8 hours before flying out again, going to France on a tour to ride behind the Tour de France. Right? He paid all this money to be in a tour group to ride behind the Tour de France, like a day behind, which is nuts. And he's talking a million miles an hour, and then he stops all of a sudden and looks at me, and he goes, "Do you want a martini?" And I'm like, I never had a fucking cocktail in my life at this stage. I just had beer because I was basic. And I was like, sure, I'll have a martini. Didn't like it, but the guy shook it in front of me. But the funny thing about this guy is that he was actually a hacker. So his job was to teach corporations how to hack back their systems, right? Phenomenal stuff. That's why he had such technology, and he was flying here, there, and everywhere. So that's the place that I was staying in. And so I fill the car up, fill the air up. I get a beer, I get a pizza, I go home, and tomorrow I'm gonna go train at CrossFit Park City with Spieler if he's there. And then I'm gonna hit the road. I'm gonna hit the road, drive south, go to a national park in Utah somewhere, go check it out, and then come home and pick up my stuff and go to Salt Lake City and stay there for the night, hand the car in, and then catch it. It made so much sense, but that is not at all what happened. Not in the slightest. And I'll explain that part tomorrow. But for now, that is it. Until tomorrow, peace and pizza, kick it in the dick, slay the dragon. I'll see you soon.